What's up, everybody? It's John and John Sports Cards and Collectibles coming at you with a brand new video. How's everyone doing out there today in the YouTube universe? It is time for another video today. Today, I'm going to dive into these boxes here that I picked up from... I bought these months and months ago from Greg Morris Cards. It's a lot of 1979 Topps baseball cards. And I can't remember if this is a set or if this is... an actual lot with duplicates. We're going to find out. I haven't really looked at this. I think I pulled out a few cards when I first came in just to make sure, some things were here. But I have not taken a deep dive into these two boxes. So we're going to take a look at all these cards today, see what's in here, see if there's any Hall of Famers, anything cool. I don't think there's an Ozzie Smith rookie in these, but you never know. And but we'll take a look and take a peek and see what we can pull out of here today. And let's see, this is a small box, and then there's the big box. Let's do the small box first. We'll leave the big box up here, and then we'll try to get these cards out of here. Let me pull these over here on this side so I can kind of see if I can get these cards out of here. Let's just try to get these out so I don't knock things over. And we'll just start out with these here. They seem to be in really nice shape. Yeah, I think the only thing we're going to be dealing with here are centering issues, but these look like, these are so, pack fresh. They almost look like they might be, vending box type, condition type cards, or maybe they were maybe they were pulled out years ago out of packs. Who knows? I don't know, the source of where they get these things from. But this was purchased with the hopes of a business venture that I was working on. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not. You never know. But I wanted to showcase this because I have not looked at it. I thought, the people who watch this channel, who subscribe, might be interested. All right, let's start out here. You got Don Assey, and these are just really nice. 1979 Topps was probably the first year that I went really crazy with cards was in 78. And then 79 was even, times two. So I have this complete set, plus I have close to probably maybe enough for almost a second set. Right, you have Don Assey, Bump Wills, it's King Kong, Dave Kingman, Lamar Johnson, Lance Routson. I don't remember him, pitcher for the Dodgers. Lou Herman, Kevin Coble, Mike Jorgensen, Terry Forster, Jim Clancy, Toronto Blue Jays. I don't think that's a rookie for him. He was an okay pitcher for the Blue Jays. Roland Office, Bill Castro, Sal Bando, not a Hall of Famer, but a good player right there. Long-time Oakland Athletic there with the Brewers. There's the Cubs. Herman Franks is the manager here. Love how the Cubs used to do their team cards back then. Denny Walling, Matt Keogh, Biff Pocoroba, Ken Brett, George's brother, Jay Johnstone, Greg Pryor, John Montefuso, the Count right there, Ed Ott. My Pirates is Dusty Baker. There's a future Hall of Famer. He'll get in as a manager. Roy Thomas, Jerry Turner, Nino Espinoza, Richie Hebner, Carlos Lopez, and Bob Sykes with the chaw in his cheek there. All right, next batch. Cesar Cedeno, Daryl Porter, Rod Gilbreth, Jim Kern, Claudel Washington. There's Louis Tiant. Signing a baseball for some young lucky fan probably. Mike Parrott. The Brewers team card, George Bamberger. It's a cool one. Kind of up close. Usually they're far away. That's a different style they did. Very cool. The Brew Crew. There's a record breaker card for Ron Guidry. All-star card for Larry Boa. Ron Say. Larry Gura. Jerry Kuzman. Was that a double? Tug McGraw. Dwight Dewey Evans. 155. No, these are all mixed up. Doc Ellis. One of my favorite pitchers. Dwight Dewey Evans. Not a Hall of Famer, great player, though. Mark Fidrich. Doug Bear. The White Sox. Don Kessinger. Johnny Sutton, Tim McCarver, Larry Sorensen, Bob Apodaca, Steve Kemp, Hector Cruz, George Foster, All-Star card. He was a really good player there, not a Hall of Famer. Ron Fairley, Rico Cardi, Mike Lum, Jose Morales, Wilbur Wood, Jerry Grote, Don Baylor, Jeff Holly, Eric Soderholm, Don Kirkwood, Juan Beniquez, Dick Davis, John Denny, Jerry Terrell, Don Robinson, my Buccos with the pinstripe uni there, Buck Martinez, and Ron Pruitt for the Indians. All right, let's get some more out of this box. Been cool so far. Make sure this doesn't fall down. All right, let's put that there. All right, let's keep going. Johnny Grubb, Larry Milburn, Mike Edwards record breaker card. I didn't even read Ron Gibbery's. This is American League record most unassisted DPs, second baseman in game. Mike Edwards. J.R. Richard for the most strikeouts in a season by a right-hander. John Stearns, most stolen bases by a catcher in a season. Sammy Stewart, 7 straight strikeouts during his first game in the majors. And that's it. Dave Lemancic, Cito Gaston with the paint-on hat and the paint-on uni. Clarence Gaston, Reggie Cleveland, Larry Heisel, Mike Garman, Tim Johnson, Paul Splittorff, Darrell Chaney. There's Mike Torres, the Red Sox. Mark Lemongello, Pat Kelly, Eddie Whitson. It might be a rookie card. I'm not sure for Ed Whitson. Mike Norris. That might be a rookie card too. Not 100% sure. I don't know if he was in 77 or not. Okay, Ken Boyer is the manager here for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's cool. 47 years old these cards are. Awesome stuff here. George Hendrick, Ron Blumberg, a bunch of baseballs in the background. Love it. Very cool stuff. Wayne Twitchell, Kurt Bavacqua. Boy, he bounced around so many different teams. I didn't even realize he was in the Rangers, but there he is. Texas Rangers. Al Hrabosky, the Mad Hungarian. Ron Hodges, Aurelio Rodriguez, Ron Reed, Alvis Woods, Jim Beattie, Rick Auerbach, Al Cowens, Tippy Martinez, Bob Baylor, Larry Christensen, Jerry White, Barry Bonnell, Glenn Abbott, Rich Childs or Chili's. I'm not sure which way it is with him as far as his name goes. There's Pat Corrales, manager for the Texas Rangers. Ron Guidry, good pitcher. Junior Kennedy, Steve Braun, Terry Humphrey, and Larry McWilliams. That might be a rookie card for him. Right, continuing on, Ed Kranepool starts us out. John D'Acquisto, Tony Armas. Lots of power there for the Athletics. Charlie Huff, Mario Mendoza, the Mendoza line. Okay, here's some team cards. Here's a Hall of Famer, Bobby Cox, the Atlanta Braves. There is the you can see it, the teepee back there for the mascot, or was it? It wasn't. It was like a. I mean, I think that was like there was like an actual. Was it a Native American individual that like could dress up? And would it be in there? I you know, things have obviously changed since then, but you know, I think that's what I remember. There's Joe Torre, Hall of Famer, the Mets. It's a very cool shot. Another Hall of Famer. Got a bunch of managers here in a row. Tommy Lasorda, Dodgers. There's another one, Dick Williams. We've got Sparky and so got a whole bunch here. For the Expos. So there are Hall of Famers so far. It's managers. Sparky Anderson for the Reds. Whitey Herzog for the Royals. And then we end here with Earl Weaver with the Orioles. Eddie Murray's in there somewhere. All right, continuing on. There's Rick Ruschel's brother, Paul Ruschel. Jack Clark. There's David Johnson, player player go on to be a manager. That's where he would have his claim to fame. The Mets, Mike Proley, Enos Cabell. Look at that, Marlboro sign in the background. They let that one go, though, didn't they? Fleer didn't like it back in, what was that, 87? With Rain Johnson. Champ Summers, Al Bunbury. Cool shot there. Jim Umbarger, Ben Ogilvy, Sam Ewing, Ken Holtzman with the Ivy in the background. There's John Milner, Tom Bergmeyer, and Freddie Patek for the Royals. Okay. Laren LeGros. Don't remember him. Pitcher for the White Sox. Wayne Gross, Brian Asselstein, Frank Tanana, Fernando Gonzalez. Or a Pirate right there. There's the Padres. Buddy Schultz, Leroy Stanton, Ken Forsch, Bill, I can't even say this guy's name. Nahordny, I don't even know. Don't remember him, though, for the White Sox. Gene Kleins, Mike Bruhart, John Lowenstein, Jimmy Quirk, Dan Spillner, Amos Otis, famous Amos right there, Tom Dixon, Mike Cubbage, Craig Schock, or Shock, I'm not sure. Skoke, Gene Richards, Sparky Lyle, Juan Barnhart, and then Dave Skaggs, catcher for the Baltimore Orioles. All right, let's get this last batch out of this box, and let's go to the big one after we're done with this one. All right. Put that down here. All right, Frank Duffy. The Red Sox right there. Jesus Alou. Eduardo Rodriguez. Joel Youngblood. Roger Freed. Danny Ozark. There is the Phillies. That must have been a spring training. You can see the palm trees in the background. Pete Redfern. Cliff Johnson. There's Grant Jackson. The Buccos. Bud Harrelson. The Shades. There's some hair there. Don Stanhouse. Love it. Jim Sundberg. The Checklist. One of the checklists, Mike Paxton, the Indians, Lou Whitaker, Sweet Lou, Dan Schatzeder, Rick Burleson. There's stars in here. There always seems to be stars, without doubt, and all the other guys. Like this one right here, Thad Bosley, the White Sox, Ted Martinez, Marty Patton, Bob Watson, Steve Swisher, Willie Montanez. Now this card comes up in the pack. The collation, if you know you're going to get an Aussie more than likely if you see Willie showing up in the packs that I've seen where the Aussies are pulled out of them. I had one of them. Floyd Bannister, Larvell Blanks, Ralph Garr, Gary Lavelle, or Lavelli, or I always said Lavelle, Fred Norman, Merv Redmond, Vern Rule, Ray Fosse, Randy Lurch, Mick Kellner, Del Alston, John Hale, Eric Rasmussen, and Bob Randall rounds out that little stack. All right, let's get this one done here. Mickey Rivers, Bo Diaz, Randy Moffat, Jack Brohammer, Tom Underwood, Mark Bellinger, Les Moss, manager of the Detroit Tigers. The team card. A little miscut action happening there, too. All right, Jim Mason on the back of that. Joe Necro, Phil's brother there. Elliot Maddox, John Candelaria, the Candyman, Brian Downing, Steve Mingori, Ken Henderson, Shane Raleigh, Steve Yeager, Warren Cromartie, Dan Briggs, Elias Sosa, Ted Cox, Jason Thompson, Roger Erickson, Bob Bailey, Dave Hamilton. Don't remember him for my Pirates. Don't remember old Dave Hamilton. Bruce Boisclair, Manny Sarmiento, Rob Wilfong, Paul Lindblad, Wayne Garland, Bill Robinson. My Bucks there, Al Fitzmaurice. Manny Trio. Awesome fielder. Contact hitter. Bobby Castillo, Bob Molinaro, Dick Tidrow, Bob Boone, Terry Crowley, Jim Bibby. Great pitcher, too. My Bucks. Phil Minkowski. Len Barker. Oh, here's a Hall. Here's two Hall. I got doubles. Rod Carew, Dave Parker. Cobra. I don't know what Carew's nickname was. I should know that. But I don't know. This is like a leader's card. So there's two Hall of Famers right there. Here's a double. Okay. Got one Hall of Famer here in Jim Rice. George Foster. Some argue that he should be in for home run leaders. The other one was batting leaders. This is another one featuring the same players. This is RBIs. Jim Rice and George Foster. Boy, Jim Rice is really good. They are both really good. Okay, one Hall of Famer on this one. Victory leaders. Ron Guidry is on here too, along with Hall of Famer Gaylord Perry. And here's two Hall of Famers here. Goose Gossage and Raleigh Fingers. Leading firemen. Very cool. All right. Team card for the Indians. Cut off. I love it. They couldn't fit everybody in. They tried to crop it. They got everybody in. Jeff Torborg is the manager. Okay, Sam Mejias, Ray Burris, John Waltham, Roy Howell, Mike Anderson, Jim Todd, Johnny Oates, Rick Camp, Jim Colburn, Tom Grieve, Andy Messersmith, Andre Thornton. Pretty good for the Indians. Other teams too. Vic Correll, Bob Hartsfield, the Blue Jays, Ken Kravek, Johnny LeMaster. It's like a beanpole. He's so skinny, that guy. Bobby Bonds. I think he actually played for my Pirates too. There's Barry's dad, Bobby Bonds. Duffy Dyer, Andres Mora, Milt Wilcox, Jose Cruz, Davey Lopes, Tom Griffin, Don Reynolds. Don't remember him for the Padres. Jerry Garvin, Pepe Frias, Mitchell Page, Preston Hanna, Ted Sizemore, Rich Gale, Steve Ontiveros, and then Tom Hume rounds out the small box. All right, let's try to put these up here. Slide these up. There's a lot of cards to go through here. I'm going to try to rush through them. Let me see if I can pull something out. Pull a little part and leave that up here. So we can get to these ones in the front. We'll work our way back. Trying to grab a nice little stack here so they don't go flying if I grab too many. All right. Dick Ruthven starts us out. So we did see some Hall of Famers in those leaders cards, and there are Hall of Famer manager cards in here for the team cards, but no real single cards so far. Let's see if that changes. Dick Ruthven, Ken Griffey Sr., the kid's dad, Doug DeCinces, Rupert Jones, Bob Montgomery, Jim Fregosi, the Angels. Noel Ryan's in there somewhere. Rick Manning, Chris Spire, Kevin Bell, Bruce Keeson, Ron LaFleur, Darrell Johnson, manager for the Mariners. What, the Superdome in the background? That's the name of the Mariners indoor facility, I believe, right? Taylor Duncan, George Medich, Hoskin Powell, Rick Miller, Warren Brewster, Stan Pappy, Jerry Augustine, Steve Altobelli, manager for the Giants. I love how they're just kind of just all around. It's kind of, they're just sitting around. I love this shot, man. This is the coolest team shot I've seen. You got guys sitting with their legs crossed in the front. You got guys on their knees. You got guys leaning around. They're sitting on something. This is just, totally just, let's just take a casual team shot. I love it. Lee Mazzilli, Bill Bonham, another checklist card. Steve Renko, Wayne Nordhagen, Gary Templeton. Jim Wright, Doug Real, Billy Buckner, Jerry Royster, Prospects card, Steve Mura, Broderick Perkins. Happy Broderick is, love it. He's like, yes, I made it on the Padres. All right, Giants, Joe Strain. I don't recognize the other guys here. Maybe Tarmago. His name sounds familiar. Okay, Gene Garber, Bake McBride, George Orta, Tony Saleta, Phil Garner, Scrap Iron, Gary Thomason, Jack Billingham. Prospects card here. Well, you got Bruce Benedict, Glenn Hubbard before he had the boa constrictor wrapped around his neck. years later. And then Larry Weissenton. Now, Benedict and Hubbard made it. Hubbard had played for a long time, and I don't know. I think Larry, that name sounds familiar to me. So maybe he made it a little bit too. Let's see who's on this one for the Cubs. Scott Thompson, I remember him. Carl Pagel, don't remember him. And Dave Geisel, name sounds familiar too. Okay, the Reds. You got Mike Lacoste, good pitcher right there. Ron Oster, Harry Spillman. All three of these guys made it to the show. There's Bruce Bochy, catcher for the Astros, future manager. He has not been inducted in the Hall of Fame yet, I don't believe, but I think he will. Mike Fischlin and Don Pisker. Don't remember Pisker. All right, here's the Dodgers. Pedro Guerrero, Rudy Law, Joe Simpson. Some names right there. Expos, Scott Sanderson, Jerry Pertley, and Jerry Fry. I almost said Jim Fry. Jerry Fry. Scott Sanderson definitely made it. These two guys, I'm not sure. There's Juan Berenger, Dwight Bernard, and then Dan Norman for the Mets. Phillies. Lonnie Smith, rookie. That's cool. Jim Morrison, rookie. And Jim Wright's on there, too. Kind of surly. There's Dale Berra. Yogi's son, and then Eugenio Coates, don't remember him, and then Ben Wiltbank, don't remember him for the Buccos. And then we end, I guess the prospect run so far for the Cardinals. Terry Kennedy is one I recognize in there. George Frazier, come across his cards a lot, but Tom Bruno, don't recognize that name. Okay, Junior Moore, Pete Broberg, Mike Vail, Doug Bird, Rich Dower, Don Hood. Now let's do this little pile I pulled out earlier. Let's see what's in here. Jose Cardinal, Milt May, John Matlack, Larry Harlow, Dyer Miller, Bob Robertson, Lee Lacy. Is that the Bob Robertson from the Buccos? It is. I didn't realize he went to play for the Mariners. Lee Lacy, great player right there. Doyle Alexander, Bruce Bochy. Different from the other Bruce Bochy. Glenn Adams, Randy Jones, Bill Madlock, Mad Dog. Love it. Before he came over to my Pirates, I really liked Bill Madlock. He was one of my favorites back then. Tom Hutton, Dave Tomlin, Larry Parrish, Jeff Zahn, Darryl Thomas, John Henry Johnson, Dave Chalk, Goltz, Brine, Rick Langford, Tom House, Jerry Mumphrey, Dave Rosima, Andrews, Figueroa, Ashby, Gorman Thomas, Mosque, Piccolo, Dale Murray. All right, let's get some more out of here. Knew that was going to happen. They all fell. See if I can get them up. There we go. Put a little angle so they don't fall anymore. Okay, Bill North. Let's just go through them quick. Checklist. Ferguson, Halicki, Gross, Knowles, Blair, Andy, I can't even say his last name. Bobby Valentine, Urea, Borgman. I got Dave there, Larry Bittner, Clay, Gene Tennis, Williams, Horace Speed, Frank White, Rusty Staub, Julio Cruz, Jim Rooker, Hal McRae, Bob Horner. Awesome power there, Bob Horner. You got Ken Reitz, Murphy, Whitfield, J.R. Richard, Hargrove, Krukow, Dempsey, Shirley, Wolford, Bob Stanley, Wagner, Spencer, LaRoche, another checklist, Rudy May, Newman, Rick Monday, All-Star cards, Omar Moreno, the Antelope. Come on, let's get some. I haven't seen any single All-Star card, All-Stars, Hall of Fame cards yet. Dave McKay, Silvio Martinez. You got Norris, Honeycutt, Edwards, Willie Hernandez. Ken Singleton, Billy Allman, Poole, Remy, two Remys, Charlie Moore, Willie Wilson, Evans. There's a Hall of Famer. Don Sutton. It's our first one. Glenn Roberts, Upshaw, Jackson, Vic Harris. Another sign if you get this card in a pack. There's a certain correlation with that Ozzie Smith card, I found out. So Vic Harris is in that pack too, I believe. You got John Montague, Thompson, Chambliss, Swan, Chet Lemon, Gary Alexander, you got Mickey Mailer, Coleman, Jack McKeon, the A's. A year before Ricky would arrive on the team, Art Howell, Bourbon, Cecil Cooper, Mike Tyson, McLaughlin. Love it. Danny Goodwin, Wayne Garrett, Bob Welsh. That is a rookie, I believe, of Bob Welsh. All right, let's kind of go through these a little quicker. See if I can beat the 30-minute mark. Okay, John Mayberry. Bill Verdon, the Astrodome in the background for the Astros. Love it. Very cool. Jerry Martin. Stolen base leaders. Ron LaFleur, Omar Moreno. Very cool stuff there. Gidrian, Swan, ERA leaders. Okay, Campbell, Lee May, Mark Hill, Drago, Paul Dade, Rafael Landestoy, Grimsley, Stanley, Moore, Denny Martinez, El Presidente, Carney Lansford, Travers, there's Don Zimmer, the Red Sox. There's some Hall of Famers in there floating around. Jim Rice, Carlton Fisk, right in there. Dillard, Leonard, Smalley. Here's some. What do we got here? All-time record holders for hits. George Sisler, Ty Cobb. Batting average all-time leaders. Roger Hornsby and Ty Cobb. Look at that. Lou Brock times 2. Stolen base all-time record holders. Got Lou Brock, season of career. I think that was broken. All-time record holders. Jack Chesbro and then Cy Young for wins. Strikeouts is Nolan Ryan and Walter Johnson. That's an awesome card. Dutch Leonard, Walter Johnson, ERA. RBIs is Hammer and Hank and Hack Wilson. And that's it. Cesar Geronimo, Jesse Jefferson, Bob Beal. Okay. There's Teak, Kentacolvey, Revering, Stone, Davalillo, Doug Flynn, Forsch, Walkenfuss, Sexton, Mark Mitchell, Toby Hara. Just look at me there at all. Steve Rogers, Jim Dwyer, Billy Smith, Moore, Horton, Ruschel, Paul's brother, Rick, the checklist, Pablo, Torrealba. I love this guy just standing there staring. Who the hell is that? I love it. It's awesome. Looks like a coach. I don't know who that would be. That's a great shot. Just kind of there. The Pirates, Chuck Tanner. Some Hall of Famers in there. Willie Stargell. Probably in there somewhere. Jeff Burrows, Daryl Jackson, Ashford, Lecoq. I don't even want to say it. It's got Paul right there. Willie Randolph, Bob Stinson, Rick Wise, Luis Gomez, Tommy John, Sadek, Devine, Phillips, Zisk, Guerrero, Nellie Bryles, Oscar Gamble, Don Money All-Star card, Willoughby, Joe Rudy, Julio Gonzalez, Woody Fryman, Butch Hobson, Eastwick, Cochran, Willie Norwood, Gross, Kerrigan, Carbo, Gene Mock, Twins team card. Look at how perfect they are compared to the Giants, who were just, they're rebels. Fred Kendall, Minton, Gary Matthews, Scott, Falcone, Bonson, Lance Parrish. That's a rookie or not for Lance. Maddox, Joaquin Andahar. I love this card. This card is like one of the goofiest cards ever. You got Craig Cusick here. And, he's got these shades on, the mustache. He just doesn't look like your typical ball player. But, things have changed. Let's just put it that way. The times have changed. Craig Cusick. Love it. Love that card. Always gives me a smile whenever I see that one. Dave Roberts, Driesen, Poquette, Bobby Gritch, Roger Craig. You got Ozzy's in there somewhere. Ozzie Smith, the Wiz. And then Dave Winfield, I think he was in the Padres still then, right? He should be in there somewhere. Skip Lockwood, Reynolds, Checklist, Waits, Bucky F. and Dent, Nepper, Miguel Delaney, Ochinko, Cox, Romo, Cage, Hiller, Cerrone, Valentine, Jerry Royce, and then Tom Verizor. All right. Well, the 30-minute mark has just passed, and I thought I could do this under 30 minutes. I can't. It's just hard. You can just flip through them, but, you got to just look at the cards, right? This might be a set. Well, there have been a few doubles, so I'm not sure. It seems to be out of order, though. Mike Ivey, Ellis, Luzinski, Slayton, Bassetti, Kiko Garcia, Stearns, Bill Russell, Clint Hurdle, young Clint Hurdle, Alan Bannister, Bobby Mercer, Wolf, Mark Lee. Look at those glasses. Love it. Luis Pouls, Gullett, Bashoric, Williams, Tony Scott, Sandy Alomar, Senior, Rick Roden, good pitcher right there. Dwayne Kuiper, Wilbur Howard, Tom Hausman, Manny Mota, George Scott. Some names right here. That's very cool. See these: Rick Sweet, Bob Lacey, Lou Piniella, John Curtis, Mike Caldwell, Lopez, Steve Henderson, Lombard, Manny Sanguin, still with us. Look at how young he is there. Looking, he's not young, but I mean, look at how happy he is, old Manny. Moose Haas, Bombo Rivera, Dave Concepcion. Some argue he should be in the Hall of Fame, too. He was a really, really good fielder. Decent hitter, too. All right, last batch here. Jerry Morales, Knapp, Lenny Randall, Bill the Spaceman Lee, Chuck Baker, Jim Essien, Sid Monge, Nettles, Barr, Otto Velez, Calmer, Nolan, Reggie Smith, Lytle, Kessinger, Schuler, Rennie Stennett. Rennie Stennett, good player. Rest in peace. Mike Willis, Ken Landreau, Bert Campaneris, another player. Some argue should be in the Hall of Fame. Unbelievable fielder. So those A's World Series teams in the 70s. Zachary Collins, McClure, Larry Herndon, Gary Surham, Del Unser, good player right there. Tommy Boggs, Dan Ford, Francisco Barrios, Bill Campbell, Dan Meyer, Jamie Easterly, Sexto Lascano, Lamp, Gantner, Buddy Solomon, UL Washington, minus the toothpick. There he is, UL. Sambito, with somebody in the background right there, catcher. Roy White, Flanagan, Foote, Johnson, Glenn Burke, Mickey Lolich, Frank Tavares. I think we're trading the Mets this year, I believe. Leon Roberts, Metzger, Dave Frisleben. All right, last little stack here, and we're done. Let's see what's in this stack here. Joe Zebd? I can't even pronounce his name. I'm not sure. Al Oliver, Scoop, Doug Alt, McGregor, Stein, Dave Cash, Bill Plummer, Sergio Ferrer, De Jesus, Klein, Ray Knight, Hartzell, Tim Foley. We would trade Tavares to the Mets for Foley. Change the whole dynamic. This is the year the Pirates won the 79 World Series. The We Are Family team. Butch Weiniger, Joe Wallace, Pete Vukovich, his buddy Bill, Gus's son, Mickey Stanley, Dave Rader, Bert Hooton, Hassler, Bergman, Stein, Hal Dews. Don't remember old Hal. Some rookie cards here. Sammy Stewart, rookie. Mark Corey, John Flynn. The Red Sox, you got Alan Ripley, remember him, Gary Hancock, and Joel Finch. The Angels, Dave Frost, Jim Anderson, Bob Slater. There's the White Sox, Ross Baumgartner, Mike Colburn, Mike Squires, Alfredo Griffin, good shortstop right there. For the Twins, though, but here he is with the Indians. Dave Oliver and Tim Norrid. Dave Stegman, Dave Tobeck, Kip Young for the Tigers. A whole bunch here. Randy Bass, Jim Gaudette, Randy McGilbury for the Royals. The Brewers, Kevin Bass, Eddie Romero, Ned Yost. Twins, Sam Perlozzo, Rick Sofield, Kevin Stanfield. Yankees, Mike Heath. Dwayne Murphy, rookie. The A's, Mariners. Don't remember any of these guys. Maybe Bud Anderson. Look at that. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a ball player. Yes. Different times, folks. Different times. The Rangers. Danny Darwin, Billy Sample, Pat Putnam. All those guys made it. Darwin was a really good pitcher. Billy Sample wasn't bad. Putnam, I think, was first baseman. I can't remember what happened to him. Okay, and the last one we have is Victor Cruz, Pat Kelly, Ernie Witt. Ernie Witt was a decent catcher for the Blue Jays for a few years. And then that's all you've got here with this 1979, these boxes here. Didn't know. It might be the set. It's a few doubles. Regardless, this was originally purchased as part of a business project I was going to be working on that I haven't done anything with because I've been doing other things that are much more pertinent and important. And that's really it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. A very long video today. Remember, if you're new here and like what you see and hear here, please hit the subscribe button. Please comment down below. Please share this video with everybody out there in the car community. Give this video a thumbs up, a like. Remember, have a good 4th of July. Probably have a video out over the weekend, too. A different kind of video over the weekend. And that's it, guys. Greatly appreciate you being here. Until next time, folks, this is John with John Sports Odds Collectibles signing off, and I'll see everybody very, very soon. Take care.